It's been 8 years since the found footage adjacent horror film Creep first made its way onto our screens, and let me tell you, the nightmares have yet to cease. Why does this movie stick with people so much? What makes Joseph a unique and fascinating horror villain? What makes Creep stand out so much compared to the rest of the field? We'll be going into the details and let you know why Creep is one of the best thrillers out there years later. So be sure to stick around till the end. Which Creep are we talking about here, and what happens in this film? Right, there is one small issue with this film, and it's that the name is not particularly distinct. Creep could refer to anything, from the 2004 film of the same name to the famous Radiohead song, but what we're referring to here is of course the 2014 film that would premiere at the South by Southwest Film Festival before coming to Netflix a year later and becoming a major hit. The film is a collaboration between Patrick Bryce and Mark Duplass. Both men star in the film and are co-writers, with Bryce taking on directorial duties. Shot in the form of found footage film, the story sees a videographer named Aaron, played by Bryce, being hired by Joseph. The role played by Duplass, Joseph tasks Aaron with filming a video for him as his as-of-yet unborn son. From the beginning, Aaron is a bit unnerved by Joseph's odd mannerisms and behavior, but he could really use the money and is hopeful that he's not as bad as he seems at first glance. They say you can't judge a book by its cover, and that's very true. However, it's clear this was not the moral of this film was going for, because Joseph is every bit the creep he comes off as. Over the course of the film, Aaron realizes that Joseph has lied to him about his supposed child, and in fact has been lying about basically everything. From there, the weird, one might even say creepy, man spends a few weeks stalking Aaron, breaking into his home to leave bizarre messages for him to find, and sending him odd letters. And let's be real, sending someone a letter in this day and age is kind of weird in itself. At the conclusion of the movie, Joseph invites Aaron to a park, only to kill him there in public before stealing all of the film to take home as a souvenir of the two men's time together. The movie is very well regarded, having an extremely impressive 90% rating on Rotten Tomatoes. So what makes it a major hit? A lot of it comes down to the villain. So what makes Joseph a unique villain compared to other horror movie antagonists? Joseph is a fascinating case study when you really get down to the nitty-gritty. When you think about it, he has very little in common with the typical horror movie villain. He's not some big burly man with a huge weapon and a terrifying mask. Okay, well, he does have a creepy mask, but he only wears it for fun, and only briefly. But he has no weapon, looks more or less like a regular dude, has no supernatural powers to speak of, and most uniquely is that he isn't hiding in the shadows for the vast majority of the time, as is very, very common amongst horror antagonists. Indeed, he's quite present in the film, there from the early minutes into the closing moments. What makes him so frightening is how little we really know and understand about him. Creep is made, above all else, to play with the instincts of the audience. Slowly but surely, throughout the runtime, Joseph raises one flag after another, the kind that have us all avoiding people in real life. But as Aaron sticks it out with him, so too must we. And of course, the longer the two know each other, the stranger and more hostile Joseph gets, building up to an intense fever pitch. The sheer anxiety of it all, it's just far beyond what a regular horror movie could accomplish. Joseph isn't a Freddy Krueger, a Jason Voorhees, or a The Girl from the Ring. He's a guy that could exist in real life, a man that probably has existed in real life, and how could you possibly get any scarier than that? What is the vibe of Creep? The underlying feeling that truly makes it terrifying. The thing about Creep is that it has this knack for setting up glimmers of hope, only to quickly crush it. The film continually asks us to give Joseph the benefit of the doubt, just as Aaron does. It makes you want to see things turn out well, to learn in the end that Joseph is merely misunderstood. Alas, he's a manipulative mastermind, and able to mess with the audiences just as much as he does poor Aaron. It even teases us, getting us to think that maybe we, and maybe Aaron as well, are just being paranoid. This is well illustrated in a scene in the cabin, where you're led to believe Joseph is about to kill Aaron then and there. only for the next cue to show him safe and sound at home. Then the maniac invites his victim to a park, a wildly public place where it seems impossible that anything could go wrong, only for him to kill him in broad daylight. The film understands our want to avoid people we can't understand, but at the same time weaponizes our hopes that we're just jumping to conclusions. The feeling that this creates, it hits harder than any jump scare, man. In many ways, Creep is a lot more realistic than not just most horror films, but most movies. Again, there's nothing supernatural about what's going on, and it really just centers on two regular people in a regular little town. The killer is a manipulative man, able to convince people that he's at least normal enough for people to get close to, only showing them his dark side when he wants to. The found footage technique fits the movie well, contributing to its realism. It's just close enough to our world to feel believable, which again is a massive part of the horror. We don't want to meet Joseph in our world. So, what would be the easiest way to explain what makes Creep different? We all love the old classics, but it's not unfair to say that horror is a genre with many cliches. A lot of old tropes that are easy to fall upon. It's also rife with copycats and clones, as any major movie is likely to come with a ton of pretenders looking to ride on the coattails. But because of this, it only stands out all the more when a truly unique and original film comes around. Indeed, many of the best horror films of the past few decades are those that deviate from the norm, and Creep is just one such example. A movie that's not afraid to do something new. It would be easy to tell almost this exact same story, but have Aaron and Joseph play a cat and mouse game in a cabin in the middle of nowhere, and that'd be the same movie we've all seen dozens of times. But no, it goes much deeper than that, looking into the extended horror of having a stalker following you around for a prolonged period of time. This is notably a horror movie with zero blood until the very end, and even then it's not a big focus in the scene. The graphic violence isn't the root of the horror here, so much as the psychological journey that led us to that moment of no return. The dreadful, creeping understanding that the evil in this movie is one that we could well experience in our lifetime is the real source of the horror here. The sharp and precise storytelling partnered with a keen eye for filmmaking is what makes Creep the kind of innovation we need in horror. It's known that Bryce and Duplass were very, very particular about getting the details right here, as they're said to have shot about 10 to 12 permutations of each scene and even had several alternate endings written out, which just goes to show that there was a ton of thought and a lot of love put into this movie, a lot of effort to get the best possible end product out there. A sequel to Creep exists, by the way, released in 2017, and a third is on the way. That might send a different kind of chill down your spine, as usually horror sequels aren't great news, but Creep 2 got just as much acclaim as the first. This shows a solid commitment to not simply milk as much success as possible out of what worked before, but to take the opportunity to tell a new story each time. A beautiful thing, a horrifying thing. And that's all the time we have for today's video. We've talked plenty about what we think of this modern horror classic, but what are your feelings on Creep? Does Joseph feel like the kind of guy you could end up meeting in real life? Are there any other horror films you'd like to see us do a similar video on? Be sure to let us know your thoughts down in the comments below, and until next time, thanks for watching.